Mural of the Egyptian Gods by Anthony Raffa. Egyptians worshipped not a single god, but a huge array from which they could pick and choose. Egyptians believed that whatever occurred in their lives or environment had a supernatural cause. Common people took almost no part in religious rituals. That was the sacred responsibility of the priestly class. The afterlife was believed to not be an abstract spiritual realm, but a concrete, real destination mirroring life in this world. Now this brings us to the question, who are the Egyptian gods and what role did they play in the daily lives of the Egyptian people? Known as the creator, the sun god Amun-Ra is known to be the ultimate source of light, energy, and life. Not understanding why events happened or how to control them, the Egyptians considered something as familiar and central to their lives as the sun to be more than an astronomical object. It was the falcon god Ra. The name Ra is simply the Egyptian word for the sun, the most visible of the divine forces that created and sustained the world. From the 26th century BCE to the Roman period, all rulers of Egypt called themselves sons of Ra. The enemies of Ra were the enemies of Egypt. In some pyramid texts of the Old Kingdom, the dead king claims to rest like the sun in the west and shine like the sun in the east. In others, he humbly asks for a place among the spirits who escort the reed float or papyrus boat of Ra across the winding waterway of the sky. Next up is Anubis. He was portrayed as the terrifying canine god who presided over the mummification of bodies and guarded burials in the ancient Egyptian mythology. He was usually shown as a seated black jackal or as a man with the head of a jackal or wild dog. Anubis helped to judge the dead, and he and his army of messengers were charged with punishing those who violated tombs or offended the gods. Most ancient Egyptians link Anubis with death and burial. He was known as the leader of the dead. In the Book of the Dead, Anubis is shown in the throne room of Osiris supervising the weighing of the hearts of the dead. Among his duties was to fetch the hearts of the followers of Seth. Seth is the chaos god, and I will cover him shortly. A story recorded in the first millennium BCE tells how the wicked god Seth disguised himself as a leopard to approach the body of Osiris. He was seized by Anubis and branded all over with a hot iron. This, according to Egyptian myths, is how the leopard got its spots. Anubis then flayed Seth and wore his bloody skin as a warning to evildoers. Seth is the Egyptian chaos god who was the enemy of his brother Osiris and the rival of Horus, and was one of the 5 children of Nut and Geb. Seth acts as a catalyst in Egyptian myth. His thoughtless actions are bad in themselves but can lead to good outcomes, such as that of Osiris becoming the ruler of the underworld. The brute strength of Seth was needed by the gods to defend the solar bark from the chaos monster. Seth was associated with dangerous aspects of the desert such as flash floods and sandstorms. In myth, Seth takes form of many different animals such as bulls, pigs, crocodiles, and panthers to carry out destructive acts. Seth was accused of striking down Osiris. The two gods were often presented as opposites. Osiris could stand for order in everything that was Egyptian. Seth could stand for disorder in everything that was foreign. Osiris ruled the fertile black land of the Nile Valley, and Seth the barren red land of the deserts. Seth's main weapon is a gigantic mace or scepter that only he can lift. He is presented as massively strong and monumentally stupid, like a giant in a fairy tale. In ancient Egyptian religion, the god Horus was the heavenly falcon god and the embodiment of kingship. The conflict between Horus and another god, Seth, the two lords, was an enduring theme in Egyptian myth. The name Horus means the distant one. 2 main forms of Horus appear in the sources. These are sometimes regarded as separate gods belonging to different epochs, and sometimes as aspects of the same deity. As Lord of the Sky, his wings spanned the heavens, and his eyes were the sun and the moon. This Horus is the son of a sky goddess, either Nut or Hathor. Horus the Younger was the son of Isis, who grew up to avenge his murdered father, Osiris. and take his place as the ruler of Egypt. He was usually shown as a falcon-headed man. Each king of Egypt was acclaimed as a living Horus. Horus was destined to be king from the moment of conception. His epithet, Horus upon the papyrus, alludes to the myth that his mother Isis hid the infant Horus in the papyrus thickets of Akbit, an island among the marshes. This nest of Horus was guarded by divine beings such as cow and scorpion goddesses. The Egyptians' most important religious belief was resurrection, the idea that a physical body would literally revive in the next world, just as Osiris was magically reanimated. Osiris was the great god who ruled the Egyptian underworld. He was the eldest son of the earth god Geb and the sky goddess Nut. He and his sister consort, Isis, ruled Egypt together until Osiris was struck down by his brother Seth. Osiris was usually shown as a mummified king wearing a crown and carrying a crook and flail. His skin can be black or green. These colors came to symbolize the connection of Osiris with the cycle of death and regeneration based on plant life. Every aspect of burial and mummification came to be linked with the mythology of Osiris. In the pyramid texts, Osiris is either struck down and trampled by his brother Seth or drowned in the Nile. A double death was probably thought necessary to kill a god permanently. The relatives of Osiris have to search for and gather up the body. In some accounts, the body of Osiris was divided into anything from 14 to 42 parts. During the first millennium BCE, these parts were said to be buried at the sacred sites all over Egypt. The tomb of the left leg of Osiris on the island of Biga was said to be the source of the flooding of the Nile. With the help of the gods Anubis and Thoth, the body of Osiris is preserved and becomes the first mummy. In conclusion, each Egyptian god had its own significance towards the daily lives and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians.